Hello friends and welcome back to Build a Lot Acres. In today's episode we're doing another tractor talk, and this time it's on the other one of my favorite tractors that my father owns, the 1971 Sears SS14. Stay tuned.
One small town New England family living out their adventures, one day at a time, sharing for the whole world to see. This is Build a Lot Acres. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video.
Alright, so today's video is going to be a good one. But before we get into the video and the specifics on the SS14, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave comments. All of that really makes a big difference in our channel, and we really appreciate it. So if you could do that for us and give us the support, we would greatly appreciate it. But let's get into today's video. Now, as we said in other videos, the SS14 is our oldest tractor here at Build a Lot Acres. This tractor is 50 years old this year. For being 50 years old and all original, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know how many original 50-year-olds with no work done that you know that look this good. Not too many.
Not very many, no.
So let's get into some of the facts.
So first off, this is a one-year tractor. They only made it in 1971. And before this, for the SS series, they had the SS12, and that was from the 60s to 1970. Then directly after, in 1972, and only in 72, they had the SS15, which had one more horsepower. And then from 73 on to...
Yeah, they started coming out with the
70s,
twin cylinder Onins like the SS16. They had the GT18s. They started getting into different series, but like Brett was saying, they, like every company, they had a horsepower war. People wanted bigger, bigger, bigger. So a lot of the old garden tractors from the 60s, you're going to see are 8, 10, 12 horsepower, and they really started going up in the 70s for different brands, and there's no exception to the Sears. So this has the big single-cylinder Briggs and Stratton engine, whereas the earlier Sears Suburbans actually had the Tecumsehs, which had a solid-state ignition. But in my opinion, I like the Briggs better. I think they have a lot of power. They do have that one-cylinder banger sound, kind of that one lunger sound that you hear, but
It's fine.
they're a great tractor. Let's get into some of the more technical specs. So SS, if you don't know, stands for Super Sears. It says right in the manual, and I think that's pretty cool. The SS14 and 15, which are both one-year tractors, as Brett said, they do have bigger hoods to accommodate that bigger Briggs engine.
Yes, these do not, so like say if you were to buy an SS14 or 15, if you were to get a regular Sears Suburban hood, it would not fit. You would need an SS14 or 15 hood to accommodate for the huge Briggs in it.
Yeah, the Suburbans have narrower hoods. They don't look quite as beefy. If you notice, there is one piece here missing. There's a piece that goes under the headlight. That's actually, in order to put the snowblower on and run the belt, you have to remove this piece.
Yeah, so he does still have the piece that's just off because we have a snowblower on it currently.
So speaking of the snowblower, this is a Sears factory 39-inch snow thrower. Now, it's important to note, a lot of people use the term snow thrower, snow blower interchangeably, but the thrower is a single stage. A blower is typically two-stage, so it has a high-speed impeller that shoots the snow out once the auger that moves slower sucks it in. This only has an auger which spins much faster than a two-speed or a two-stage snow blower auger spins. So this is a snow thrower. It's 39 inches, and honestly, it works great. I'm going to try to get some pictures up from the 2013 Nemo storm we got here in my town in Massachusetts. We got 31 inches of snow. We were one of the highest towns in the area as far as snowfall. Brett was 7 years old.
And I ran this, and I ran it well, and I was 7.
At the time, I was plowing snow commercially for the state, so I just got back from a 40-hour or so snow excursion, and my driveway had the 31 inches in it, and it was, I plowed in a triaxle dump truck, so it's not exactly like I could plow the driveway in the truck that I was in. So my only choice at the time, really.
Yes, you didn't have the Coyote at the time, so the only choice was this.
I did have the 448.
Yeah, you did.
But I don't think I had a blower. I just had a plow, which wouldn't have done much for 31 inches in a garden tractor. So this blower really saved our butts that day. Brett actually ran it. The snow was so high, it was almost as high as his hood. I actually had to shovel the snow down, make the piles lower so he could get into it. Once we got a couple paths opened up, we could take smaller, bite-sized, manageable pieces. But we did the whole driveway with this 39-inch single-stage snow thrower. And at the time, it was what, 42 years old at the time. So I don't think that's too bad. Can't ask for much more than that.
No, you cannot.
I'm sorry, friends. I couldn't locate the pictures of Storm Nemo. I thought I had them, but I can't see them. But this is the storm Saturn, which was about a month and a half after Nemo. This was the end of March 2013. This storm was 22 inches.
So let's move the camera over and we'll get into the tranny. So one of the things Sears is best known for is their really rugged transmission. This is a 6-speed, it says 8, but that's for including the 2 reverse speeds. So you got 6 forward speeds and 2 reverse speeds. That's a high-low tranny. So you got a high-low, and then you got obviously a gear shifter, parking brake. But this gives you a nice option of gears. And if you go to like pulling events for garden tractors, the 2 most common brands you're gonna see are gonna be Sears, like this, and Cub Cadet. So they make really rugged transmissions, and they stand the test of time for sure. Now, I don't know if you can see, but you got a pretty beefy rear end here in the Sears tractors. Another thing, everything built back then was built rugged to stand the test of time. You're not going to see 2021 lawnmowers in 50 years still being used like the Sears is. But another option is to actually have a 3-point hitch, which I have. It's not on the tractor, but I do put it on because I have a 5-gallon pail of concrete for add extra weight for snow removal. But the Sears 3-point hitches are pretty basic. There's a big lever that picks it up and down. It's not hydraulic, and it's narrower than a normal Category 0 3-point hitch. So instead of 20 inches wide, which is the standard for Category 0, it's 16, so it's 4 inches narrower. So you can't fit normal Category 0 implements on the Sears. You have to use Sears specific implements, which, you know, they're still readily available, at least here in my area, but a lot of the areas of the country you may not be as lucky. So this one has 23-inch by 10.5 true power lug tires. I have had turf tires in this. You know, this is like any other tractor. A lot of the other tractors from back then are like the Sears. They don't have a locking differential, so when you spin, a lot of times you're only going to have one wheel spinning in the back. So chains are recommended. I don't like chains because they have the paved driveway, so I try to get along with just the lug tires. But luckily my driveway is fairly flat, so I've been lucky enough not to really need the use of chains since it's been paved. So let's get into the rest of the tractor.
So this is the engine. As we said, it's a 14 horsepower Briggs & Stratton. One interesting thing to note is in 1971, they also made what was called the Hydro-Track 14, which was the exact same as the SS14. The only difference was it had a hydrostatic transmission, not the regular one, not a regular 6-speed. Which that has its advantages and disadvantages, but it is interesting to note. So in 1972, with the SS15, they made a Hydro-Track 15, which was just like this. Instead of the SS15, it was a Hydro-Track 15, and the only difference was hydrostatic transmission, but everything else was the same.
Here we get a close-up of the big Briggs engine. This is all original. You know, this is one tractor that me and Brett definitely want to end up working on and restoring at some point, maybe in the next, you know, year or two. Just you run out of time to do things. You can only do so many projects. But it's pretty cool. Back then they used to put all the specifications on the tractors because people actually did their own maintenance. I know that's unheard of now, but the engine oil type, how often, transaxle, you know, tire pressures, all that kind of stuff was listed for the operator in plain sight when they open the hood as a reminder, which I think is pretty cool. They had a ton of different implements that they offered for these Sears tractors. They had the snow thrower, you could also get a snow plow, you could get land plow in the back, you could get harrows, rakes, all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
So they offered some cool attachments back then. I'll try to see if I can post up some advertisements from back then. It's heartbreaking to think how many of these old original monsters were scrapped over the years for, what are you really going to get for this tractor for scrap? $25 to $50? And now you have a piece of history ruined forever. So me and Brett have done a lot of wood cutting and logging with our little tractors before I got my Coyote. This whole backyard, pretty much from where we're standing back, probably close to an acre, was all trees. We also have a big loop in our woods about a half-mile long to get logs and stuff. So,
which was all cleared with this and the 448. My father did not have the Coyote or the Ford when that happened.
So as you know, in the springtime, it gets pretty muddy. So we were hauling, at the time, I had a tandem axle Country Manufacturing 2,500 pound wagon. I actually made the bed bigger. So that I could get more wood in it. So it had a 7-foot long bed and it was 4 feet wide. So I mean, it held a lot of wood. I had fresh cut, just cut red oak. It was fresh, it was still seeping water. I mean, it was heavy as can be, chock full. This SS14 pulled it up a muddy trail. I was driving, Brett was in the wagon.
Yep.
We were going uphill through the mud, and there was about a 8-inch branch. It was the size of a small tree. It had fallen across the path, and I happened to have the front snowplow on to offset some of the weight in the back so it wouldn't do wheelies. And we actually pushed the tree branch out of the path through the mud while pulling the wagon. If I didn't see it for myself and someone told me the story, I would absolutely not believe them.
And it's funny because said unnamed cousin had actually said, when my father told him, he thought he was lying, and it wasn't until I told it exactly how my father did, like 6 months later, that he believed it.
Stories like that, the 31-inch snowstorm, I mean, there's stuff of legends, but anyone who owns one of these old tractors, doesn't have to be a Sears, it could be any brand, Wheel Horse, Boland's, John Deere, Cub Cadet, etc., Gravely, Wheel Horse, Power King, you know that we're not lying. These tractors do some incredible things that you would not think a garden tractor that weighs 700, 800, 900 pounds could do. But they were made for year-round chores to help the estate owner out. They were meant for winter snow removal, leaf cleanup, mowing, springtime plowing for your garden. They were just meant to accompany you all year round. They weren't just meant to mow your lawn like a lot of today's lawnmowers that are severely underbuilt, and a lot of them aren't even serviceable. They have sealed axles, and they're just meant to be replaced every, couple, 2, 3 years. This is 50 years old. Think about that. 50 years old. That's incredible to me.
Yes.
That it's still functional and working. So we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We hope you enjoyed our stories. We know that you guys like the Tractor Talk series. We try to keep them informative and entertaining at the same time. And let us know if there's any other tractors that we have that you want us to talk more about or do something different. Please leave the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
See you in the next one.